20-year-olds, this ain't on their radar. They're like Josh and I was years ago. I got knots in my pocket. We going to the club. I'm all right, right? But eventually, once you hit your 30s, 40s, and 50s as a tattoo artist, it's like, where's the end of this tunnel? And what's going to be there when I arrive? And so some people may feel like they've missed their window. They're discouraged. I should have started building for retirement 20 years ago, but I'm 46.
Yeah.
Is it too late for me, Ryan?
Okay, here's why it's not too late for you, okay?
Brothers and sisters, we can't thank you enough for all your love, your support, and your faithfulness. It's been brought to my attention, if you really want to do something to bless us, to thank us, apparently simply hitting the like button on YouTube would be more impactful than what I ever knew, let alone subscribing to us on YouTube if you're not already. And then over on Spotify and Apple, please leave us a review. All of your listening and your comments to us mean the world to us. And do us a favor and just hit like on YouTube and leave us reviews on Spotify and Apple. And we're going to continue to serve you with our whole heart. Thank you so much. My God, it's a new year with all kinds of new opportunity, new possibility, and moving ourselves out of the land of got-tos into the land of get-tos. But sometimes in that transition, all of us, especially us artists, have to face things that can be hairy and scary to us, especially in this season. Oh, I don't know, like taxes and shit, like finances and stuff, right? And, you know, it's been the elephant in the room in so many of our lives. If you're anything like me, you just avoid, kick the can down the road. And before you know it, years have gone by and you haven't done any of your taxes. How's that working out for you? Right? And then us OGs in the game, especially me and Carlton, there was a time, you know, fuck, what's a credit card machine, right? Exactly. Most of our lives, we were cash only. And to this day, I still am. And so that caused us to do a whole lot of mattress stacking and walking around with knots in our pockets.
Well, I mean, at the beginning, you guys took like bread and fur and stuff for tattoos, didn't you?
I was trading covered wagons for back pieces.
Yes. Well, and in the name of speaking all things finance, instead of this conversation being confusing, over your head, or scary or discouraging, today we thought we would bring a beautiful and powerful professional on who can speak with authority on all things finances, especially in one major thing he's called and created to do on the planet and the industry right now is to help me and you get freed up in our heads, in our hearts, and even in our books around all things financial. So today we're bringing on a good brother of mine, the legendary Mr. Ryan Roi. How are you, Ryan?
Matt, thank you for that intro. It is an honor and a privilege to be here. Yeah, I'm stoked. This is you're right. This is what I live for. This is what I'm called to do, and I love doing it. So yeah.
My God! And before we get into it, you do, teach and coach tattoo artists all over the globe. You have your own coaching program for those listeners that listen to this today. They're moved, touched, and inspired, and they want to know you and know more and get to work with you. Are you even accepting new clients today?
We are accepting new clients. We have grown our program. There's a lot of need, believe it or not, in the tattoo industry for what I offer. So
yes,
we've had to kind of build the plane as we fly it. And so for a while I had a wait list, and we've recently moved some things around. So now we do take on about 20 new clients a month. Okay. And we're halfway booked up for March. So yeah.
Okay. Dude, Ryan, that's fucking awesome. And I'm sure our good brother, our producer Mike, will put in the show notes how everyone can contact you. But just off the cuff, what's your preferred method of brothers and sisters to reach out to you?
Honestly, I try to make it as easy as possible for people. Just get at me on Instagram. Ryan Roi Tattoo. That's RYANROI. Return on investment. That is my last name, actually. That's my honest, real last name. But
hey, my God. Well, that worked out.
Meant to
That
be.
worked out. Ryan Roi Tattoo on Instagram. Just shoot me a DM, and usually what we'll do is, we might ask a couple questions or something and see where you're at, and then if it's appropriate, we can book a call with either myself or someone on my team, because I now have a whole team of people that support me and enrolling and registering people into this program and making sure that it's the right fit. That's really what it comes down to. It's like, is this really what you need? And then if what we offer isn't what you need, I just send them over to TBM, usually is what I do.
Hey, I know that's right. He does.
I do. I send people to TBM all the time. Yeah.
Yep. Thank you for that. And that's beautiful. And lives have been changed because you were the bridge in their life and stood for them, brother. So thank you.
Thank you.
And I hope to do the same right the fuck now with you. For sure. So, Hip, Carlton, where do we want to start the conversation? Do we want to ask Ryan any questions? Or
I was going to say, I could kind of bring up the whole way this started. I wrote you guys earlier and was just like, hey, we should do something on finances, because I remember how it was for me, particularly when I just would carry literally all of my cash in my pocket. Like I was saying earlier, I might have felt like a baller because I had $2,000 in my pocket, but it was all the money I had in the world, And then I was shocked when I went to get an apartment, and I'm like, I make plenty of money, but I had no receipts. I had no bank account. I had no tax returns. I had no credit. So that I was denied an apartment, but I was like, no, but I make plenty of money. I can pay for the apartment. And they're like, no, it doesn't work that way. And so many tattoo artists, we're born as we're pirates, you know what I mean? So I think a lot of people take that mentality even well into their career, and they struggle with things, you know what I mean? So even if they have a bank account, just understanding taxes, understanding multiple streams of income, understanding side hustles, understanding having multiple bank accounts, right? So just hoping here that Ryan can kind of shed some light on that for us. Hip, were you the same way? Like, were you similar to me, or did you always kind of have it together? I'm assuming you didn't. But
fuck no. Fuck no.
Look at this guy. He's had it together since day one. What are you talking about?
Right.
hey.
If day one's today, then yes.
Today's the day. You're going to learn today.
No, and I can totally relate with you. Like, I've always, allegedly, I've tried to avoid the tax man. And, working an honest program, trying to just have a little bit more integrity with not only myself and the people in my life, but my community. And because, it's, what am I giving back? And unfortunately, I've always heard that there's two things you can't run from in life, and that's death and your taxes. And I'm learning the longer I stay around that your FICO score is important, because before I had a good FICO score, I took the Dave Ramsey fucking course where it's fuck credit. You just want duffel bags full of money, and that you may not be able to get the apartment rented to you, but you could pay for it. And it's because of that, I've had to have my stepfather co-sign a car for me until I was able to get my FICO up. And have good credit, and also co-signing my house, which I'm doing great with, but when people co-sign for you, it's a little bit of stress that's not needed, because ultimately I should have been a productive member of society and did the things the right way. And it is just you're talking about, and Matt's talking about, things like that can come back and bite you in the ass. Because I literally
there's no shoulda though. There's no I should have done. Is it working for me? Is it not? Is it serving me and my purpose, or is it not serving me? And it's at a certain point, for a period of time, it might serve you to have your parents or your uncle or your hamster co-sign a loan for you. And then all of a sudden it doesn't serve you anymore to do that. So then you change it,
Yeah.
I love it. See what he's doing. He's already taken the sting out of your own condemnation, because all of us can be sitting there. You listeners, you may be sitting there riddled in fear right now because you're so behind on your taxes, whatever. And Ryan's here to bring you light and hope back, no matter what boat you're in.
If all we do today is take the sting out and give you some hope and some direction, then we can do that in the next 40 minutes. I'm confident.
and I appreciate you even acknowledging that in the language, because it's just what the shower I took last month isn't keeping me clean this month. So it's it's not working for me now. So it's time to upgrade,
Yeah, exactly.
So I was telling
another
people,
reason. you had we all have like software in our head around money, around everything in life. But the software you had when you were 18 and 25 might have worked just fine for you at that point, right? But then your life got bigger, your career got bigger, your responsibilities and demands in your life got bigger, but you never upgraded your software. You never upgraded the way you think about money. And so you're trying to, get virtual reality and AI technology on your old DOS computer. And it's just not working.
Ooh, I love that. Oh, Mr. Ryan Roi is about to upgrade us today, boy. Yes. And just to touch a little bit on the one thing, it was the picture he was painting, because I believe it's accurate to a lot of tattoo artists that not only did you need help with a loan or cosigner because of your FICO score, but it was also because us in our cash only days, maybe like not claiming what we're really doing to try and save $1 in the current moment, but maybe it's going to cause an effect later on down the road, kind of like Josh was saying, the tattoo artist. Josh was saying he couldn't get the apartment. There's so many artists that maybe try and avoid on their taxes, keep their cash, but then when they go to buy that home or that car, when they can totally make the payments, but it don't look like it or say it on paper. And that's kind of the boat you were in. It didn't look like on paper that you could afford the house and your FICO score, And I think that is a clear picture of so many tattoo artists out there.
Yeah. When you go to buy a home, you have to generally have a pretty large cash payment down, like $20,000. And that money can't just like appear out of nowhere. It has to be what they call seasoned. You know what I mean? So you need to have money that's been sitting in the bank for a while. And so you could have, unless you basically have enough money to straight up buy the house with cash, like you're gonna run into some problems. So
and even that you're gonna run into problems.
Exactly.
You can't, unless you got a paper trail showing that, like, you can't be like, well, it was a piggy bank I had when I was 10.
Right.
Put money into it.
Exactly. So hopefully we can shed some light on some ways to make things a little bit smoother for us artists.
Yeah, a perspective shift. That's the first thing I want to offer is a perspective shift on taxes, because that will serve you more than anything. Okay. So for most of my life, and for most people listening to this, and the sound of it, we view taxes as the enemy, and we have to resist it. We have to fight it, and if we're resisting, what you resist persists. So it's not going to work out for us if that's our relationship. And someone a lot smarter than myself, a lot more wealthier than myself, said to me, he said, what, taxes are actually a roadmap. The instructions are there on how to build a wealthy life and how to use taxes and pay them and use the system to your advantage. You just have to look for the roadmap and then play the game the way the game's intended to be played, because it actually, the government doesn't want you to stay broke for the rest of your life. I promise you, that's not what they want. You might think that. And there are rules and tools and ways to play the game where taxes don't rob you of anything. If anything, they help you build that credit, establish yourself as a successful business, and then you can borrow the money you need and you don't have to resist it, while at the same time reducing your tax burden legally, according to the rules, according to the methods, right? They want you to save for retirement. How do I know that? Because they incentivize you through tax cutoff, tax deductions to do so. So it's just a matter of learning the rules and looking at it as, okay, there's actually a game to be played. There's a roadmap to follow. If I learn the tools and play by the rules, it actually wants you to win. It doesn't want you to lose. I promise.
I love how you said, like, kind of gamify it, basically, because that's what I did with my FICO score. People that have been listening for a long time have heard me talk a lot about back in the day, everything was for future Josh to worry about, and then future Josh showed up real fast and hard, right? So I didn't give a shit. I never learned about my credit score. I didn't care about it. Again, I thought I would just have bags of money and I could do whatever I wanted. And we realized that just was not near as easy and realistic as I thought. So once I understood, you can download an app called Credit Karma, and you can actually see your credit score and work on it. And I started gamifying that. I became, every day it used to be every 7 days, but now you can check it every day. I check it, and I constantly watch YouTube videos. What are best ways that I can do this to make it better and better? And I went from having like a 400 credit score to having an 800 plus credit score by thinking of it as like in a game. And now that puts me in a bracket of, if I do get a loan, I get the highest interest rates. Very rarely does somebody get a perfect credit score, but my rates are the same now as if I had a perfect credit score because I played the game. So at the end of the day, when I thought I was a baller with a couple of grand in my pocket, the grown-up version of Josh is much more consistent with that.
Which is basically what exactly. See, this is why great minds think alike, Josh, because we were on the same fucking wavelength. That's why we both spoke up at the same time. I was just watching a video of Ryan's on his IG talking about like life, like this thing with money is a game. And you got to play it. So I appreciate the perspective shift. Like, don't run from the taxes. You said something I always say, what you resist persists. Like, why not, if your options are to view it negatively or positively, why not choose the latter of the two and view it positively? And like, all right, you were talking about Monopoly, I believe, in the video.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great video. When it stops, when it's like eventually everybody loses, you were saying, when it stops being a game,
stops being a game, everybody loses. And it really is no different. The stakes might be higher in life, but also the rewards are higher. So, but if we forget to play, and look, I forget to play sometimes too, and I have my affirmations and my mantras and my tools that I use to get myself back in the game and remind myself, oh, right, I'm not just here to play a game. One of my mantras is money dances to the song of my life.
Nice. I love that, boy.
Yeah, my life is a song, and sometimes it's a sweet song, and sometimes it's a sad song, and the song is going to be what it is, but my money is going to dance around and support whatever the song needs, and then it becomes a dance, and there's no resistance in dance. It's fun, it's relaxed, it's like I can let my shoulders down, I can just have a good time.
Yeah. I find it interesting, and I when I'm teaching my Everything I Know course, oftentimes we'll get in a little bit of financial discussion. And one thing that I've found that really works for me is most tattoo artists that I meet, they make plenty of money, but they don't even really know how much money they make. You know what I mean? They just kind of get cash, even credit cards, and they just, they're fine. And then they have the slow season, and, they kind of make up for it. But I always tell them, like, do you realize that if you just made $300 a day, that's $109,500 a year? And as a tattoo artist, $300 a day is fairly realistic. Like, you don't work every day. Some days you're going to make zero. Some days you're going to make 1,000 though. So if you can average it out, and what's going to happen if you try really hard? Oh, I fucked up and made 98,000. Whoops.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Once you realize that potential.
I did a post on that recently too. It was like how to make $100,000 a year as a tattoo artist, and I broke it down by how many days a week you'd work and how many tattoos you'd do per day, and what you would actually need to earn per tattoo in order to make that 100K.
Yeah, everybody should go watch that video because, a lot of times we make challenges on here, and I think that we should challenge you right now, if you're not making $100,000 a year, to listen to some of these ideas and implement them into your life. And you really can make $100,000 plus a year. Most tattoo artists make more money than their parents do. They just don't realize it, so they're kind of spending it just like as it comes in, right? Start funneling it into different bank accounts. I'm assuming, Ryan, you probably have multiple bank accounts. I'm going to just guess, right?
Multiple bank accounts, absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, multiple bank accounts, multiple streams of income. Most of us can paint. Most of us can draw. In the slow season, you should be drawing and trying to sell your drawings or your paintings, or if you write music, there's so many things you can do. If something has a slow season, something else doesn't. So
yeah. And, I was meeting with one of the people in my course. We were talking about, how's business doing, income. And he was like, probably want to try to get up to that 6-figure mark. And we were going over some of the numbers. And real quickly, he was like, you know what? I actually think I'm probably like $5,000 away from making 6 figures. And it was like, well, that's not a big enough goal then. It's not going to stretch you.
Come on.
To hit that. Right? But it was so funny how in his mind, the concept of 6 figures seemed so far away when really he was this far away. He was an inch away from hitting that goal. Yeah. And I said, all right, well, now that we know that you're pretty much already there, where do you want to go from here? and he's sitting with it. And I was like, what's a game worth playing that's going to stretch you that you don't know how to accomplish, but you're going to play the game and find out? And he said, I want to make $1 million a year. I said, fuck yeah, that's a fucking game.
Yes.
When do you want to make $1 million a year by? He said, in 5 years. And I was like, awesome. That's a fucking game. Because like you said, Josh, if we play that game and we look and see what are the actions we can take and how can we, on a logistical level, what can we do? At the end of 5 years, if he only makes $300,000 in a year, he still won.
Right. Right, that's what I love. I love the whole, like, as long as you try, right? As long as you really do it, and like you stumble, like, oh, I only made 300,000. Damn it, I'll get him next time. You know what I mean? It's like, shit, 300,000. I just gave myself chills. You know.
What was keeping him from hitting that 100K mark was the fact that his goal wasn't 200K.
Right. It's like Hip says, his dreams weren't big enough.
Exactly. So I feel like we always kind of fall short of whatever our dreams are. And so if your dreams are just a little bit better than what you got now, well, then you kind of stay stagnant. But if your dreams are really shooting for what is possible in the realm of infinite possibility, then that's gonna it's like taking a plant and putting it in a bigger plant pot. It's naturally gonna start to grow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's awesome. Actually, that's a great way to look at it.
In the beginning of the go ahead,
Matt. I find for me, a quick tip of something that really helps is once I started writing it down. Our listeners know that I like to journal. I write things down. If I just don't think about my finances, I don't really know what's going on. But when I write, every morning I write the date in a book, and I write a big fat 0 next to that date. That's as soon as I wake up, get out of the shower, my day begins. I don't want to see too many zeros in a row. I want to try to write that $300 down minimum every day. I'm trying to do that, right? If I see a bunch of zeros in a row, I'm going to work harder. I'm going to go, what can I do? I better get a painting done. I better go into the shop. I was going to take the day off. I'm going to go see if I can get some walk-ins, or I'm going to call that person that wanted that tattoo. I'm going to make this money happen. But because I'm staring at it every day, I'm very aware, right?
The awareness, that's what it is.
If I just kind of like had it in the background, I would just fuck around. That's how I am. You know what I mean? So for me, the act of writing it down, not on my phone, like physically with the pencil, writing it down, and I do it with the pencil because I know I'm going to erase that 0. I'm going to change that number throughout the day. But yeah, just 300 a day for an entire year. That alone is 109,500.
Yeah,
we can do that.
Money flows where attention goes, or money goes where attention flows. It's one of my favorite mantras. So wherever you're investing your attention, that's where your money is going to flow.
I love that. In the beginning of this conversation, Josh brought up and used the term to define a lot of us, especially us old schoolers, as pirates.
Yeah.
Right? What's the name of your program, Mr. Roy?
So the original name is Pirate to Professional. Yeah.
Okay.
And I decided to change it.
Okay.
Because we've started to attract people from outside of tattooing. And tattooers, we know the pirate life, but it doesn't necessarily resonate for people. And I also realized that Pirate to Professional, it wasn't speaking as true and authentically to what it was that I am doing in this course. So I'm an artist. That's where I started this whole journey into finances, is from a place of creativity. And, my company that the corporation I formed is called the Artful Dollar. And so that's what I have named the course now. The course is the Artful Dollar. And it really is, if you can learn to tattoo, you can learn to be awesome with money. There is nothing stopping you from that. And, we got to learn our tools. We got to learn our medium, our machines and our ink, our money, our accounts, our investments. Those are all the tools. But then we also have to develop the way of being, or the mindset that creates the beautiful work of art. Now, if that beautiful work of art is a tattoo, or that beautiful work of art is your life, and money is the medium and the tools you use to create that beautiful work of art, it doesn't matter. I was talking to people in the course just yesterday about way of being, and I said, this is a great conversation. So I asked people, what's your way of being around tattooing? And this one guy said, well, when I sit down to do a back piece, I am daring and professional. I said, oh yeah, and how's that working for you, being daring and professional with the tattoos? He said, oh, it's fucking going great. It's awesome. Yeah. And I said, all right, what's your way of being around money? And he said, boyish and immature.
Mm.
And I said, how's that going for you? He said, not very well. I said, all right, now imagine you sit down to do that back piece and you are being boyish and immature. You know, how's that going to, it's not going to go very well at all, you know?
Yeah.
And so realize, you have a way of being in the world about tattooing, about relationships, about food, about money, all these things. We're human beings.
Yes.
We have a way of being, and so we look at that in this course, and I know you look a lot of that in TVM as well. Is
Yes.
You know, it's, to me, the most important conversation you can have in your lifetime is who and how are you being, and then get to create who you're being in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, I love that, Ryan. And I love that. That's what last week's episode, the whole discussion was about. It was us three and Carson Hill talking, making distinctions between being and doing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know?
Are you familiar with like the have do be versus be do have?
That's what it was.
That's what I'm like.
About? Yeah.
Did you listen to last week
I
before you
didn't
joined
even
this?
listen to it. It's on the same wavelength, my friend. I mean, that's it.
Yes, I love it.
You know what I just did as actually this past weekend? Are you familiar with the Landmark Forum?
Well, fuck yeah, we've been.
And we've taken it.
I just did it for the 5th time in my life.
Oh my
You know
God,
what?
I love it.
The first time I did the forum, I was 12 years old.
Wow.
He did the kid
So I'm
form.
Yeah, he
36
did.
right now. I've been doing this work for over 20 years.
My God, it shows. I knew it when I had dinner with you and Russ.
Yeah.
So good.
So Ryan, would you, just for our listeners, would you, since you have a heart out, do you have like, top 5 tips, or what is something, if someone's like, hey, I'm really interested in this, but I just don't know where to start, like, other than taking your coaching class, is there something you can give them today that they can chew on a little bit?
So that's one, and I want to couple Josh's question with another, just so you could think of this. What Josh just asked, and when you're having enrollment calls, you're bringing students in. They're all mainly all tattoo artists.
Yeah.
Along with what Josh just said, what are the top common traits that you see all artists, are struggling in, because everyone probably feels like it's their world. They're all alone. Dude, I'm
different.
fucked.
I'm different.
Yeah.
When really we're all way more alike than not.
So much so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have great answers to both those questions. So,
Okay, great.
I'll start with the first question, and then I'll go into, because I literally at this point have talked to over 300 tattoo artists in an intimate conversation about their personal finances. So like I've gleaned some fascinating little nuggets of wisdom there. But to answer like I don't know where to start, right? If I'm working with someone and they just don't know where to start, they're like, Ryan, I feel like I'm just floating in the void of money, and which direction should I go in? The foundation on top of which you can do anything with your life is going to be the 3 pillars. There's always 3 pillars, right? There's a trident, the 3 pillars, the 3 values, whatever it is. Taxes, living expenses, emergency savings. That's where you start. All right. So if you don't yet have 3 months of emergency savings, that's going to be you don't need to worry about retirement. You don't need to worry about buying a house, Now, in order to get that emergency savings, you certainly might need to get clarity around your living expenses and your taxes, right? They're all intertwined. So that's why I call that like the 3 pillars, the foundation. If you were to get on top of that, have systems in place to support you and get that emergency savings, then all the other confusing stuff will start to make more sense. So that's usually where I start with people and people in the course is we put some things together to get that on track, and then we'll get into the more complicated stuff.
And what were the 3 again? Your taxes, 3 months emergency savings, and what else?
Your living expenses. So
Okay, yeah.
I have a system of separating my rent, utilities, bills, even like things like Netflix, areas where this money is already spent before I even get it. Every month I know that, I don't even know what the number is. I go into my system and look, but it's like $3,500 is already spoken for no matter what. So that's not my money. So
it's on auto pay.
Yeah, so here's something really good. When you make money, all right, you did a tattoo, they hand you cash or they do the credit card transaction, whatever it is. We often, and I used to think, all right, I made $800. This is my money, my $800. It's not your money, but you think it's your money, and then you spend like it's your money. And that's really where one of the big disconnects and where people struggle with overspending is the money they earned is what they think they have. And it's just not, it's not accurate. It's not the truth.
Yeah, and that was the problem when it was just
spoken for.
That was the problem when I just carried that around in my pocket.
Yeah.
It's like whatever I had was, hey, I'm good to go. And it's like, oh, my electricity was turned off again. Why? You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So-
And that's being boyish and immature.
Yeah,
Money.
right?
Exactly.
And look, there's nothing wrong with being boyish and immature. It just works for a while until it doesn't. That's all.
Yeah.
Right? You start playing bigger games in your life, and all of a sudden you want to, have a different outlook on it, a different approach. So, I get, that those living expenses, that's a pretty big one, because you'll get to the end of the month and then you scramble for rent. And it's like, well, I like to separate money for rent out of every single week, or, as frequently as I can. If I'm a tattoo artist, I'm getting paid every day or every week, separate it. So I usually do it every week. I put aside that money for taxes, living expenses, rent, utilities, other bills. Every week that portion gets automatically taken out. And then I say, okay, what do I want to save? If I want to save 10% of my income, which is a really good starter. If you're just starting to save and you have no idea how or what your goal should be, aim for 10% of your net income after expenses but before taxes.
Nice.
Okay.
I think one good thing where a lot of tattoo artists could start is right around Christmas time. I hear a lot of complaints after Christmas. They sell a bunch of gift certificates to get through Christmas, right? And then you'll hear people on like the tattoo forums kind of like, well, I don't like doing that because then when they come in, I feel like I'm tattooing for free. And it's like, that's because you thought that was your money. Just like, that's a great example you brought up. If you were to take all of the gift certificate money and put it in a safe or preferably a bank and not touch it until they come in, then you just simply pay yourself, and you're not going to feel like that anymore. So I think that's a good place to kind of start. What do you think about something like that?
I would say that's one part of it. And ultimately, you want to look at all the money you make. The minute you make it, it's not your money. It's not, and just even like I would tell myself, I would like have a little mantra like, this isn't my money. It's not my money yet. It will be. Some of it is my money, but I don't know how much of it is my money until it goes through my system. And then I can see. And so if I'm looking at my bank account or I'm looking at the $2,000 knot in my pocket, and I'm aware that some of that's for rent, but I can't do the math real quick, right? Here's the secret, guys. I'm not good with math, right? I'm like the money guy, but like I'm not good with math. So I can't quickly do that calculation. So then I'm like, ooh, shiny thing I don't need that costs $800. Well, I have $2,000. Yeah, I'll get that. And you know what? I'll get 2 of those, and I'm going to then order takeout,
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, it was like, whoa, I just accidentally spent money that was already spoken for, and I didn't even realize it. And then you just do that over and over and over and over again. Yeah. And, that's, so, one thing I like, what's that guy, Nick, in Masters of Fate, he says, every system is perfectly designed to produce the results that it gets. I love that quote.
Yes.
And so you have a system, whether you know it or not. You're listening to this, you might think, I don't have any system for my money. You do have a system. And your system is so perfectly designed to produce exactly the results that you are currently getting. And if you change that system, you will change the results that you get. That's all.
My
That's
God,
awesome.
I love that. Oh, that's so good. That's so good. Top 1 to 5 common traits that you serve all artists in. Yeah.
So let me see the things that come up a lot for people. So here's the number one thing, if you get anything from this talk, is people are not separating personal and professional expenses. And so you have people have one checking account, and if say you work for a shop and you take 50% cut from the shop, right? And the shop pays you, if they're paying you cash, and you ever deposit any of that cash, or you pay for any expenses at all during the year, and you're doing that from your personal checking, where you also go to McDonald's and, buy Beanie Babies or whatever you do with your money.
Yeah.
And at the end of the year, when you go to do your
How'd
tax,
you know?
God, I could just see. I see in the background there's a
Right.
back there. Then you go to do your taxes, and then what do you have to do? You have to get the highlighter out. I used to do in Procreate, actually. I used to download my my documents, my statements, bank statements, put it in Procreate, and then highlight what was a business expense, what wasn't, what's confused, what am I not sure about, and it was just this crazy process.
Yeah.
And it would take me around 2 full days, like 8-hour days. I'd make 2 big pots of coffee. I'd be stressed out at the end of it. And ultimately, I wasn't even doing it correctly. Like, I was missing out on savings on my taxes because I don't know what all these, sometimes you see a transaction, there's no clear sense of what the fuck is that, right?
Right.
So then I started using bookkeeping software. But even using bookkeeping software is really difficult if the money isn't separated. So that's why even if it's not an actual business account, which, by the way, it's so easy to get a business account, all you generally need is an EIN number, an employer identification number. It doesn't mean you need employees. It's just called an EIN number, and you can get it for free on the irs.gov website. If you're on a website that's trying to charge you $300-something to get your EIN, get off that website because it's just a scam.
Okay.
There's a lot of it. Just go to the IRS website, get an EIN number, and then you go to your bank, and you say, hey, I want to open up a business bank account. They're going to say, cool, where's your EIN number? And you're like, right here. It takes 5 minutes to get your EIN number, by the way. It'll instantly give it to you. It's so easy.
And Ryan, every EIN number I've ever gotten, my banker did it for me. I just went to the bank. Yeah. And was like, hey, I need to open it. Yeah. I just go straight to the bank. Like, yo, I need to open another LLC. They spin to their computer and do it for me. What you want it to be called?
What bank do you use? I'm curious because I've never heard of that.
I've had 3 banks do it for me.
Whoa.
But the main one, Huntington's done it for me twice. And there's a local credit union here, right? Pat Credit Union's done it for me.
That's totally new to me. That's very cool. Because I've had people go to banks and they're like, hey, I want to open a business bank. They're like, well, you need an EIN, and they don't help them out. So I've never gone to the bank. I didn't even know you could do that. I've always done it through the IRS website. But here's the thing, you don't even need an LLC. This is another one that comes up a lot for people. They're like, well, I don't have a business bank account because I don't have an LLC. And I don't want to pay the $600 or $300 or whatever it costs to make it. And I'm like, you don't need an LLC. You could just use your social security number and get an EIN number as a sole proprietor on the irs.gov website, and it's free. It takes about 5 minutes. You can go, but let's say you don't want to do any of that. You're just like, Ryan, I can't be bothered. I don't want to go to the IRS website. Just open up another checking account and use that for business. There's nothing illegal about doing it that way. You won't be establishing business credit or if I applied for a business line of credit with my bank, and they looked at how long I've been in business with them with my business, so you just need a separate account. It could just be as simple as opening up another checking account. So keep your business and personal expenses, all your income going into and all of your expenses going out of an account that is not the same account as your Beanie Babies. Keep them separate.
Yeah. Okay.
Ryan, if I were to open a business account, so I've heard this before. So you have your own personal credit. Do you get eventually, like you were mentioning, is that a separate credit? Like when you can run your credit, but this is for business,
Yeah, it is. But I'm not actually sure that there's an actual credit score. There is some kind of score because for instance, I opened up an S corporation this past year, and then I was signing up for Wi-Fi or something. Anyway, they were running the credit of the S corp and I never filed a tax return with this S corp, so they couldn't prove income that the S corporation made, and so it's just a little bit more legitimate to do it. Here's the thing: if I had not opened the business bank account and used it for years and been able to prove income levels, I couldn't have never opened up the $30,000 line of credit at the low interest rate that I got with the bank. So there is some history, income history, some established, like you said, seasoned. They want to see that something's been going on for a while before they loan you some money. And if it's a new EIN or a new business, they don't have that proof.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, so that's a big one, the separation. Like you said, just no one knows how much money they're actually making. and really taking some time. So I have that conversation with people, and I just say, look, just on average, what do you think you're actually making? And often they're wrong, and that's okay. Like, I just kind of get some gauge, but then here's the number that I help everyone on the free call, the free consultation that I do. I help everyone understand the most important number in your entire financial situation. And it's not your credit score. It is your saving percentage rate. Like I said, say 10% of your income, but most people have no idea, one, how much they're making, and so they have no idea how much you're saving. And so then I'll say to someone, okay, how much you make $5,000 a month, you're saving how much a month? They say, I'm saving $1,000 a month. I would say, okay, well, that puts you in the 20% savings rate. That's really good. So you have $12,000 at the end of the year. They said, no, I have $3,000. I said, okay, well then, but you said you're saving. They're like, yeah, I'm saving $1,000 a month. I'm like, okay, but see, you're going back and you're dipping into the honey pot.
Yeah.
So what I ask people is, what are you saving and accumulating for the future? That's your savings rate. And that's so important to define. And a lot of people I've met with don't think about, they think they're saving money, but then they're going in, they're dipping out. And so really asking if you want to just take some time, probably do it in about 10 minutes to get clear on what is your savings percentage rate. What percentage of your net income, right, after business expenses, but before taxes, are you saving and accumulating for the future, right? After you pay your taxes, you still have how much money at the end of the year. That is the percentage of your income that you're saving. And don't, if it's zero, like, you're not alone. I just want you to know. I want everyone to know. If you do that number and you're like, I'm at zero, more than half the people I meet with are at zero.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And it's okay. You're not alone. And there is ways to get you past that. I just want you to know that there is hope.
Ryan, and since you and I are both, we get to sit at a lot of the same tables. Ryan and I are in a same mastermind too. It's what, so like you said earlier, another model that I got from a brother who's way smarter and more wealthier than me is a system like you're talking about. There's just another 10% added because he too was like 10% savings rate, but he also allocates a 10% giving.
Yeah.
Right.
Hell yeah.
And I think that's real fucking important for all of us to allocate giving funds.
Yeah.
No matter
Absolutely.
who you're giving to or blessing somebody, we already know givers get. You can't outgive God. You can't outgive the universe, but it's fun to try, right? Do you do any of that in your systems, Ryan? Or are you just a selfish prick?
I don't.
Just kidding.
I'm just a selfish prick. No, I donate. I have reoccurring donations to some environmental causes. The ACLU, I donate every single month. I just have that on reoccurring. But Matt, you are inspiring me in this moment, and I absolutely want to create that instance. And it's actually something I've been I'm sure you know my man Ben Shaw. Shout out Ben Shaw. And the ATP, the Association for, or APT of Professional Tattooers, they're doing a lot of stuff with regulation and really trying to fight for what's going to work. Because regulation is not a bad thing. It's just we don't want it. We want it being handled properly, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm like, man, I need to get involved with the APT. If I can allocate some funds there, that would feel like I could make that kind of contribution to the tattoo industry. So I give you my word, Matt. You're going to be seeing that. Yeah, my word is fucking powerful, dude.
I know it is, you
magic
creator, you.
I got to be careful of the shit I say because the minute I say it, it's fucking happening, right?
Yes.
That's the relationship I have with my word. But no, this is something that's really important to me, is making sure that we have people who are qualified and experienced and knowledgeable to help support the tattoo industry in cultivating regulations that work for everyone. Because if it doesn't work for everyone, it doesn't work for anyone.
Come on, brother. I used to say that all the time. If it ain't good news for everybody, it ain't good news for anybody. Yeah.
But I like that 10% because that generosity, one, what that does on an energetic level, because money is just a flow of energy, right? We have a weird, twisted concept of it, but that's not what it actually is. It is just a flow of energy. And when you are giving, when you're generous, you are unblocking that flow. you're opening the channel wider to allow to receive more. When you give more, you receive more. That's really what you're doing.
Yes, brother. Oh, and it's so fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun. My God, Ryan, I already feel like we just scratched the surface today.
We got to have him on again.
Would you be
we're just
open to
barely-
a part 2, brother?
Oh my God, absolutely. Yeah, I would love to.
What about next week?
Let's make it happen. Let's do a part 2 next week. Let's
Yeah, I think
schedule
this
it.
is-
I'll block out 2-3 hours if we need to.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think this is such an important conversation, and it takes more than an hour to get to all of the things we can do. You know, I know there's a lot of things that I do that I implement that I'd love to talk about, and especially with you. So, Ryan, please, yes, it's been wonderful having you, and please join us again. If
And
you
it's
listeners want to
tax
hear
time.
more, let us know. Yeah, perfect timing too. Exactly, tax time.
Yeah. We're on tax time and also just getting all of our minds together on this stuff. Because look, I have a lot of experience, and I did get like a Series 65 license. I worked with a wealth management firm, but like I'm still learning so much all the time.
Good.
And if
You
you're
should
not actively generating it, and like I have so much to learn from you all, and you know, it's like it's going to take all of us having these conversations and sharing it and opening up about it together to
Yes.
make the impact on the world that I want to make. I can't do it alone.
Yes.
So I
Yes.
appreciate you guys allowing me to speak through your megaphone
Yes.
to get that message louder, and anything I can do to help you guys and what you're up to in your life and your mission, I'm here.
Thank you, brother.
Awesome.
Ryan.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, dude. You've been a blessing today for sure. Even though we scratched the surface, there's a lot of gold dropped just now in this
You got one last
conversation.
one for me? What's one last, if I could
Ooh.
drop any last
Yeah.
little knowledge bomb out of my wisdom cannon, what would it be?
And
Ooh, that's
as
a good
we're thinking of the question, because what if I asked you, I'll put it back on you. What question didn't I ask you that I should have?
Oh, what question? I'm just so passionate about retirement.
Okay.
That is honestly the topic that got me started interested in this. I'm like, at some point in my life, I'm going to be 85 years old.
Dude, especially for tattooers, like
we
we
can't
do, if
tattoo
we're not
forever.
building a plant, it's not sustainable forever.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, it's not. And I mean, I've been tattooing for almost 15 years, and I'm already like, oh my God, it's I can barely, one tattoo a day is my max. Like, and
that's how
so just here, if I could just drop anything about that. First of all, it's so easy to create a retirement account. I often send people to betterment.com. It's super easy. It's a robo advisor. I also have my financial advisor is this guy, Dustin Tibbetts from Jazz Wealth. They work with tons of beginners. So it's so easy. And here's the thing. Let's say you're like, oh, I don't know which account to open up. You can open one up, and then you can open up another one, and you can roll one over into the next one.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you can make mistakes, and it's okay.
Yeah.
I'd rather
Back to you
make a
saying it's
mistake.
back to you saying it's easy, because again, I think a lot of guys' way of being's around that which they
And-
don't understand is they're operating from a place of already defeated. Especially if someone's been in the industry as long as we have or longer. You know, a lot of our students, a lot of my students have been in the game longer than me and you, Ryan. And so I think some that's, you know, because the young 20-year-olds, this ain't on their radar. They're like Josh and I was years ago. I got knots in my pocket. We going to the club. I'm all right, right? But eventually, once you hit your 30s, 40s, and 50s as a tattoo artist, it's like,
Yeah.
fuck. Where's the end of this tunnel, and what's gonna be there when I arrive? And so some people may feel like they've missed their window. They're discouraged. I should have started building for retirement 20 years ago, but I'm 46. Is
Yeah.
it too late for me, Ryan?
Okay, here's why it's not too late for you. Okay. Is we call it a retirement account, right? But that word is honestly like an antiquated. Who wants to fucking retire? That sounds fucking horrible. I want to live my life.
That's right.
And your retirement account, all it really is it's an investment account with magical tax powers. That's all it is. Just call it a magical tax account if you want. I don't care. With this idea, so wherever you're at when you're 80 years old, however far away that is, whether that's, 5 years from now, or, well, if it's less than 5, there might be a slightly different approach, I'll say. If you're, but look, you can work a little bit longer. But the point I want to make, and why it's not too late, and why now is the right time to start, whenever now is because it's going to support the income, help supplement the income that you need to live whenever you need to use it. So, if the average return historically in the stock market is 10% per year, now some years win, some years lose, it's not a guarantee, and you do it for 10 years and you compound that interest, right? You're 10 years away from retirement. You're starting at 55, you want to retire at 65. That's 10 years of compound interest. That's money that you didn't have to work for, that you earn for free, that if you do it in a certain type of account, it could be tax-free, could be tax-deferred. So you're going to be so much better off if you start right now than if you wait 1, 2, 3 years, because the longer you have to take advantage of that compound interest, the more magical that retirement account is going to work for you.
Okay, great. But regardless, no matter where we're at, what age we're at, you're
going to benefit. You're going to benefit from it. Yeah, absolutely.
Good. My God, we got so much love for you. Thank you, Ryan. And again, joining us on such last minute, short notice.
Thank you. I got to hop off and talk to some tattoo artist somewhere in the world right now and help him with his finances. So
that's right. You got about 45 seconds to stay in integrity.
Thank you. I love you all. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ryan.
If anyone's interested in talking to me, reach out, hit me up on Instagram. I'd be more than happy to chat.
Thank you, brother. We'll talk to you soon, man. Later.
Man, what time is it? 12:14 a.m. Matt, I don't know about you, but I like coffee.
You know I do, every day, all day.
Man, and I could go for one right now. So our listeners, did you know that you can buy us a coffee?
For real?
Yeah.
Why would they do that?
Well, if you like what we do and you support our show and you appreciate our content, you can just go and click that little button that our producer Mike puts in every show and buy us a coffee, just to show your contribution that you appreciate what we do for you to help us out.
People can really buy us a coffee?
Totally.
I would be honored if you bought me a coffee.
And not only that, but we got a little spot. It's special for the VIP listeners. It's called Close Friends on Instagram. And on there you can see some behind the scenes content. And when the cameras ain't running, seeing all the shit we'd be talking about each other.
Is that true, Mike? Damn, you guys, this is the first I've heard about either of these. So they can buy you or me a coffee.
Or Mr. Carlton.
And get a sneak peek behind the scenes.
Yeah.
By doing what again?
Fucking smashing that button.
Okay. What button you talking about? I want to smash the button.
It's the button on the fucking thing.
Okay. Do it. Just do it.
Absolutely demolish the button. But thanks for your time again, and we appreciate all our listeners.
Always.